This episode is sponsored by nobody because I don't know how to be consistent with a work schedule, sleep schedule, life schedule. So, what would you do if you were completely isolated for 9 months in a windowless room with nothing more than a computer and a phone? Kind of walked right into that one. Okay, but let's add the fact that you're an actor who only seems to be getting work as a terrorist or classic cliche Middle Eastern type villain.
So first part I played was an assassin from the Middle East. The next part I got was a suspected terrorist. He was innocent. Then the third part I got was a doctor, which was...
Well, after Cave and Novak decided that being a cliche terrorist wasn't really cutting it for him anymore, with the help of overall good lad Ed Tracy, he decided to carve out his own space in the industry by sitting in an office no bigger than a nonce's hideout, making hundreds of prank calls a day as various different characters with his ridiculous voice range.
Concert tickets.
You wish to buy tickets for Coldplay.
In a show that became beloved by the nation, which we eventually knew to be the BAFTA award-winning.
Wouldn't matter. Talk so much.
JVC, is that what you're trying to say?
I'm calling from internet relationship providing.
This telephone thing, which goes through the telephone and then into the speakers, and you've got them on 2 separate channels, which basically allows you to...
Now, you see, 2006 is an extremely barbaric time to be alive. Internet Explorer was the browser of choice, Instagram didn't exist. Ew, fuck off Netflix, stranger danger. Good old landline was still the best way to get in contact with someone. Landline phone calls were still the way forward, cheap and easy to communicate, and the main demographic of these people still using landlines are men old enough for their balls to be swinging like 2 avocados trapped in a bag for life. So Cavey Baby took this idea, ran with it, and off he went, pranking everyone and anyone he could get his hands on, creating hours of content with various voices so far removed from his own, donning the signature red ski mask, and a very 80s straight to VHS style aesthetic. The Fonejacker was born. They needed somewhere to put it though, and what better British institution than Channel 4. Channel 4 was and still is creating pilots for literally anything. Its late night schedule back in the mid 2000s was essentially Adult Swim, but more insane. What should have been a shitty prank show was turned into something unique based on its intentionally shitty design, as ringing people up and letting it play on TV is fucking boring because, well, that's just radio, and everyone knows the radio is for nonces.
This is great banter. It really is.
It used a really crude animation style similar to how Canadians are depicted in South Park in the sense that they barely are. Combined with Cave and Novak's filming B-roll for the calls in certain skits and witty wordplay entwined in the edit, the calls now had a 3-dimensional aspect to them, which added to the charm and the chaotic energy, which the show was fucking stinking of.
3, 2, 1.
The characters included, but are not limited to, Mr. Duvda, a man who phonetically states acronyms, George Agdigdigwengo, a stereotypical Nigerian scammer, Terry Tibbs, a traditional wheeler dealer, the Mouse, a mouse, and Dufresne Constantinople, a neurotic man who complains about everything and fails to understand the concept of the phonetic alphabet, and many, many, many more. The characters and scenarios were funny on their own, but Novak's insanely sharp wit elevated the calls to another level, flipping through multiple voices at the time during the call to make it seem like he's a host for an undead mental ward, and it makes for some of the funniest British TV in recent years.
Why?
Well, you shouldn't be asking me a question. If I want to speak to your manager, you should put me through to your manager.
But you're going to complaining saying I don't speak English properly. But, okay, one moment please.
Oril, you're going to correct my script for me, are you?
Well, there you go.
Oh, you write scripts, do you?
Well,
You're a script writer now?
well, for a
Why don't you
moment,
come to Bollywood, write scripts for them?
well, for a moment there, I thought I was a customer, and the customer's always right. Obviously, you don't have
Well,
that.
no.
policy either.
If you're going to give me a lip like that, son, telling me my script is not right, then the customer is not right. He's talking bloody bollocks.
What is the logical profession for a man who sits in an office all day, pranking people for roughly 2 years?
Give me a kiss.
That's right, yeah. You make him dress up as the characters and go out in person instead, to creating parodies of TV shows to unbelievable conviction. to invading live TV sets with unwitting victims.
No, of course. I was just demonstrating the. Oh shit! Is that? Oh, sorry.
The uncanniness of his Fonejacker vocal acting was complemented by his physical acting, only helping push the personas to an even more convincing level. Even if a victim is unsure whether the person is real, you wouldn't outright question someone's appearance in person, let alone on camera.
I'm not actually a Hasidic Jew from Golders Green. No. I'm actually a second-hand car salesman from Wickmansworth. And I'm also a millionaire.
Characters from the original show, Dufresne, Brian and Terry, all were elevated as a result of this show due to adding a little bit of character development and world building to make the characters a little bit more believable.
Name's Batandi. Brian Batandi. I like many things, but one thing I like more than anything else is cock.
K-Man did get away with one thing though, however. Known by many but practiced by few due to the stereotypical branding of being deemed a racist, Caven decided to disregard this matter completely. I can assume he followed the Frank Reynolds rule in the sense that you have to make the lips funny.
And you gotta make the lips funny. Oh, no, what?
What it really paid off because no one seemed to really just care that much because his accent was just so on point.
It's 20 pounds. It's because of the environment. Yes, indeed.
Every little helps.
Do you have a...
What it managed to do in such a short space of time wasn't much except hold the British public ransom for 22 minutes at a time. To make children and grown men all over the country willingly want to scream sweet nothings into the night, pretending to be a middle-aged man with a speech problem, or a Nigerian scammer is no easy feat. But Caven Novak and Ed Tracy did the impossible. I salute you, sirs. Ultimately, Cavan managed to break out of the stereotypical roles that he was being typecast in terms of being a terrorist, by then playing a terrorist in a critically acclaimed film, Four Lions, which is one of the funniest British comedies I've ever seen. One of the funniest shows I've seen in a long, long time, and it's ingrained itself into British culture forever. So I strongly recommend going watching that, and I will, in the meantime, be working on improving a upload schedule if I can ever find out a definition of what that is. I love you. I don't know where that came from. Bye.